All right, here are your lesson 5 corrections. Make sure that everything that I have on my page, you have on your page. And if you don't have it, add it now in red or correct it in red. Now, this lesson is the one that most people get tricked up by simply because the instructions are kind of confusing and we make everything fit according to the last lesson. So, a couple of quick reminders. Anytime we go up the staff, we're going forward in the alphabet. Okay? So, if we're going up the staff, we're going A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If we're going down the staff, we're going G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Okay, so we have to go backwards. G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Going down. Okay. Or if you think about going down this way, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Backwards musical alphabet. All right, so first thing it wants us to do is draw our treble clef. Okay, and then it wants us to name the notes. So all of these are below the staff, which means we're going to go backwards and down in the alphabet. These are the ones that we just did in lesson 4. These are the middle ledger lines because they are underneath the treble clef. So let's go ahead and get these guys out of the way. We have the door, the center, and the basement. Now the rest of these we're going forward in the alphabet. So we need to remember that the top line of the treble clef is F because every good boy does fine on the lines. So if this line is F, then this space right here must be G. And if that space is G, then this line right here must be what comes after G. And what comes after G? Not H, but A, because we have to start over in the musical alphabet. Okay, and then next, if that line is A, the space directly above it is whatever is after A, which in this case is B. And then lastly, when we have two lines, we have the line is F, the space is G, the line is A, the space is B. This line is now C. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on exercise 2, but now we are drawing the bass clef. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get our middle ledger lines out of the way first, but the middle ledger lines are above the bass clef. Okay, because they're in between the bass clef and the treble clef. So this is the door, the center, and the basement. We have the basement directly on top because the top line is A. So the space above it must be B. And the line above that must be C. That's the center. And the space above that must be D. That's the door. Okay, now these next ones are kind of the tricky ones. We got to make sure that because we're going down the staff, we are going backwards in the alphabet. So if the bottom line is G for Great Big Dogs Fight Animals, then this is whatever is right before G. And sometimes we might have to sing the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. F comes before G, so this one is F. Now let's find the one that's directly below that. So we have this space. The next one is a line, and it's the line that is directly before that. So whatever comes right before F, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, and now we're looking for the space that's right below that. So here's our single line. Here's the space that's right below that. And we're going to go A, B, C, D, E, because it's right before E. And then lastly, we have C. Okay. One thing that helps some people, and it might not help you, and that's okay, but high C above the treble clef and low C below the bass clef are both double ledgers. So those can be little landmarks that we use that help us keep track of where we are. 2 ledger lines above the treble clef, 2 ledger lines above the treble clef, and 2 ledger lines below the bass clef are both C. Okay, number 3. It wants us to write the note in 4 places. So when it comes to our middle ledger lines, I could technically do D here, but also D here. I don't have to, but that is technically two separate places. I just think that gets a little funky looking, so I'm going to put one in the bass clef. Actually, I'm going to put two in the bass clef. I'm going to do this low hanging D, and I'm going to do I'm going to do great big dogs, and then I'm going to do the door, and then I'm going to do every good boy does. All right, next I'm going to do my easy ones. All cows eat grass. Every good boy does fine. F-A-C-E. And then I have to pick another E, and the only other E that we know right now is this one that hangs out below. Okay, next we're going to have F. So we can have every good boy does fine. We can have F-A-C-E, face in the space. We can have great big dogs fight animals, but we need one more F, and that's going to be the one that hangs out right below G on the bass clef. Now for G, we're going to have great big dogs fight animals. All cows eat grass. Every good boy does fine. And then as we are continuing up our staff, we know that this line is F, so the space above it must be right after F, which is G, which is what we're looking for. Okay. And now we're going to have all cows eat grass. Great big dogs fight animals. F-A-C-E, face in the space. And lastly, we're going to have a ledger line A, because in the musical alphabet we have to start over after G. And so the next line is A. And then lastly, great big dogs fight animals. We're going to use the basement right here. Every good boy does fine. And our high ledger B. Okay, make sure yours matches mine. Anything that doesn't, change in red, fix in red, and upload your picture to the Canvas discussion.